Okay, we're here now. So, if you are watching this, more than likely you have heard the news about Jimmy Kimmel being suspended from his show on late night TV. So, what we are going to do, we're going to go over the course of events, what happened. We will speculate on why certain things happened. And then, of course, I will give you some commentary um, throughout. But let me just say, um, full disclosure, the mere fact that I, as a random YouTube film critic person, the mere fact that I wouldn't even say nervous, but the fact that I'm like questioning how I speak about this makes me feel like this is no longer the American dream that we all should be living in. That's something I have never thought to myself I would have to be in a position to actually be in. Now, I have thought in the past, oh man, if I have a political channel, yeah, maybe the job might get lost or maybe my family and it's honestly, just being honest with y'all, it's one of the reasons why I don't get into politics. Not because I don't have opinions. Oh, I got opinions. It's because I'm not trying to bust out Lucille. Okay, y'all know Lucille right over there. Y'all know Lucille is chilling right there. I'm not trying to go to jail, right? Because if somebody crazy, they gonna be crazy. Okay, y'all not coming for me. Y'all not coming for mine. So that's one of the main reasons I don't get into politics like that. Now, obviously, I know the irony because we're about to get into some politics here. When politics crosses the line of entertainment, yes, I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so don't nobody come in here and be like, man, you need to just shut up and film critic. No, 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 no. Yeah, it came into my world now, so I have to talk about it. But yes, again, the mere fact that I have to second guess and I have to be cautious because I have any type of fear of not from people, but the government potentially taking action against whatever I'm saying, that's a problem. That's a problem in itself. Okay? So let's get into this. All right. Jimmy Kimmel's gotten suspended, but let's get into what he actually said, because I don't think a lot of people have actually heard what he said that got him suspended in the first place. So this was what ended up happening here. It says ABC is indefinitely, okay, suspending Jimmy Kimmel's talk show from airing after his comments about Charlie Kirk. Now, for those of you that don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he was a conservative man who gave controversial opinions that others would deem as potentially hate speech, while others believed were not hate speech, and he was gunned down by an assassin later on. We clear? We good? Okay. All right. I think I got it. All right. So, and first of all, let me also just say, and I think we can all like agree to this, no one is condoning political violence at all. Like, full stop. Political violence is not okay. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're in between. Political violence is not acceptable. Done. I don't even care about the whole, well, it happens more on the left and it happens more on the right. It doesn't matter. It's not okay. And trying to actually play up the sides of the teams, it's stupid, right? As Americans, we should be way more concerned of stopping it on all sides, because all political violence is bad. If you start finding yourself jumping to a team, you might just be in a cult. Because to me, if you are rationalizing the political violence on one side or another side, that means that you have a little less empathy for the other human beings that died. And that's a problem to me. Again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's all bad. Full stop. All right. So this is what Jimmy Kimmel actually said that got him in hot water. He said, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it." That's what he said. Okay. That's what he said. So certain individuals took umbrage with what he said. They didn't like it. They was like, "Ah, how dare you?" Now, here's the thing. I've heard so many different stories about what they're even mad about, because to be honest, I don't know. I'm like, wait, are y'all mad because you think he was trying to say that the shooter was MAGA? Are you mad because he was making fun of the president? Like, are you mad? Like, I don't know. I've heard so many different stories. I don't even know if people know why they mad at Jimmy Kimmel at this point. I don't know. So here's what happened before the suspension. And this is where I think it needs to be highlighted. I think people need to understand that Jimmy Kimmel didn't say what he said and then get suspended. It didn't happen that way. This wasn't oh, it's the ratings, or oh, it's the bad business. And no. Because if that were true, if it was true that Jimmy Kimmel was too expensive and, oh, there was so much bad ratings and so many complaints, if that were true, Jimmy would have been gone. You think this is the first time Jimmy Kimmel's made fun of the president or said something that other political folks didn't like or whatever? Nah, it's not. This is the kicker. Meet Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is the FCC chairman. Okay. The FCC, for those of you that don't know, they are the government body that issues licenses for TV programs to exist, for different media studios, companies to have TV, licenses and stations and so on and so forth. In other words, this is the government guy who is controlling what you see and don't see on TV. When somebody on live TV cusses, he's the one that's going to be like, you violated this policy or whatever, a fine. Here's a fine for you, right? Mr. Carr appeared on a podcast or whatever and said this right after Jimmy Kimmel's comments. He said this basically: we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies, the media companies, can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. A few hours later, after Carr's remarks, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. So I want people to understand that the government threatened media outlets based off of Jimmy Kimmel's speech. Now, I also want to point something out, because somebody's going to say it. Well, people have opinions, hate speech, free speech, and I feel like those terms need to be defined, right? So I want people to understand the differences. Opinions are individual viewpoints, right? Your individual viewpoint could fall under free speech, but it's not the same thing, right? Hate speech is a subset of speech. So you have speech, and within speech, you can have opinions, and then you can have hate speech. And within that subset can be offensive or harmful, but oftentimes still legally protected unless it incites violence or harassment. And within all of that, you also have the idea of free speech. free speech is basically the legal right to be able to speak, right? To say your opinions or even give hate speech, depending, and so on and so forth. So those are the differences, just in case people don't know. And I also want to highlight this too. Now, Carr, the FCC guy, suggested that Disney, ABC's parent company, should address Kimmel's conduct before the FCC gets involved. He said you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. So, once again, anyone who is suggesting that the companies just did this as a business decision is being completely disingenuous. That is not, you are not arguing in good faith. Either you just are misinformed or you are willfully trying to misinform people. But there's no way you can ignore the pivotal piece that the government laid out a threat. I hate to even try and make light of this. This man said, once again, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. I don't know about y'all, but I immediately thought of the Boondocks. And I'm sorry, but when I heard that on the Boondocks, I heard nothing but a threat. Okay? When that certain warrior told people that you can do things the easy way or the hard way, that was a threat. Because guess what was going to happen when the certain warrior told you about the easy way or the hard way? You was going to get got. And you didn't want to get got by that warrior. I likes you and I want you, okay? But in this case, he don't like you and he don't want you, but he's still going to give it to you the easy way or the hard way. That's a problem. That's a problem, okay? Now let's go on a little further. Now, one of the affiliates that, distributes the shows locally, it's called Nexstar, right? That's the one that it's one of the TV station owners that did this. Now they came out and said, like, whoa, wait a minute. Me no problem with the government and no, I ain't got it. That ain't me. They denied it all. Okay. It says here, actually, no, let me get the better one. They denied that the suspension was due to the FCC's pressure. Nexstar, the nation's largest station owner, denied on Thursday that it pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air due to pressure from the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr. What asked whether Nexstar's decision was in any way influenced by Carr's remarks, the company's chief communications officer said no. It's cap. No. You had no pressure from the threat of the government official that is in control of your licenses and stuff? No. Here's the other kicker. Nexstar, they had said that they had no communication with the FCC or any government agency prior to making that decision. So what you're basically saying is you heard what the FCC said. Let's be honest. Everybody heard what the FCC said. It was on every news network. It was being reported everywhere. So you know what your boss, your government official at that case, you know what they said. But because they didn't specifically say it to you, you didn't have no communication. So you didn't make no decision based on, like, do you think we're stupid? Like, are we really acting like we're stupid? You trying to act like people are stupid here? You think that if a mob boss put out an advertisement and said, I'm going to get Tom, you think Tom is going to sit here and be like, well, he wasn't talking to me, so I guess I'm fine. What? Tom, you are dumb. Okay? You're going to wake up with some fish in your bed. Tom, go home. Get out of here. Get out of town. Like, what is going on? So this next star sounds ridiculous. But it's not that crazy if you know what's really going on. And stop me if you've heard this before, but if you ever want to find out the truth, you have to follow the money. The money. And would you not? Would you look at this? Nexstar got a little money thing going on, huh? Because Nexstar is trying to merger with Tagna, whatever it's called. It says the firing of Jimmy Kimmel comes amid Nexstar's $6.2 billion merger with Tagna, which requires FCC approval. Nexstar, which is seeking FCC approval for the $1 billion merger, said it strongly objects to Kimmel's comments. The company also announced that it will replace his show with alternative programming in its ABC affiliated markets. So, y'all got a deal on the table. Y'all need Brendan Carr, the FCC government official. Y'all need him to give you approval so you can make this $6.2 billion. It sounds like you sure do need to play nice. It sounds like you both need to be on the same page. So if Brendan don't like Jimmy Kimmel, y'all don't like Jimmy Kimmel, right? Makes sense if you want to get that merger. Didn't we see something like that happen just not too long ago? I could have sworn it did. Yes, that's right. Colbert, Paramount, Skydance, they wanted to merger as well. Can't do that when Colbert is out here making fun of the president. And that's right, the president appointed Brandon Carr to the FCC. And it seems like Brandon Carr and the FCC do whatever the president likes. And the president also had a whole hit list of people that he was like, I don't like y'all, and I'm gonna get rid of y'all. Man, this is, where do I have a tinfoil hat? Because it's sounding very conspiratorial, and I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but it's starting to line up. So when y'all have money on the table and you need to make these big business moves, you have to play nice with the government. But in order to play nice with the government, you have to do what the government likes, which is not like your TV shows or hosts. So you just so happen to get rid of them. And by the way, I was very careful with my words earlier. Notice that I talked about how Jimmy Kimmel was indefinitely suspended. They didn't cancel the show. Now, Colbert, they canceled his show. So like as of April or whatever, his show is done. Like it's done. They suspended Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I have some thoughts about that. But one thing is letting me know this. Like with Colbert, it did actually make a little bit more sense because the late night shows are actually very expensive. Like that actually makes sense. And they're letting him finish out, the year, the season. Okay. Yes, there might have been some government pressure, but at the same time, it felt and looked a little more business-like. This, an indefinite suspension, you know what that reminds me of? When there's like, I don't know, a police shooting or something like that, and they're like, oh, we're putting them on administrative leave. You didn't fire them. You didn't like prosecute them. You put them on leave. That's what it feels like when it sounds like y'all just had to react in the moment. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, nah, this doesn't sound like a business decision because of bad ratings or whatever. No, that's why y'all suspended him. And y'all better watch out because that might be a lawsuit, but that's a whole nother story in itself. Now, here's where things get even a little bit more disturbing. Yes, roller coaster ride continues. Now, I don't know if you watched them or not, but I think that it is almost universally understood that The View is one of the most outspoken television programs out there. You don't have to agree with them or not. That's irrelevant. But the point is that they gonna talk about what they want to talk about, right? The women on The View, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy, they are going to talk about politics, culture, and they're not gonna pull back nothing. At least that used to be the case, because the hosts of The View stayed silent for the second day in a row over their parent company ABC's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's late night show over his Charlie Kirk comments. Many fans theorized that The View hosts were purposely instructed to not discuss Kimmel's suspension by their parent company. And to make matters more interesting, on Thursday, FCC Chairman Brandon Carr, who was responsible for yanking Jimmy Kimmel Live, suggested that the FCC look into The View as well. Look into? What's there to look into? Why do you want to look into them? What's the point? What's the point? What do you want to do now to The View? This sounds terrible. And I say this as someone who I respect different opinions and I respect different viewpoints. There are certain channels out there that I just do not watch. They carry a whole different worldview than I do. They carry opinions that I find offensive. But at the same time, we in America, do what you got to do. Listen, do what you want to do. Say what you want to say over there. As long as it does not affect me or people that look like me or my rights, I don't care what your views are. I respect the fact because we're in America. We have something called the First Amendment in the Constitution. But what I don't like, and here's the thing, I'm not putting no labels on this. I'm not saying, oh, I don't like it when the left does it. I don't like it when the right does it. I don't like the concept of the government looking into TV programs, looking into different, now here's what I would say. I would not have a problem if the government were to step in only when it's actually a national, like it's in the national interest. Now, I'm saying this very carefully because somebody could loosely say that for anything, right? Somebody could sit here and be like, oh, well, I don't like that news program and it's in the national interest to censor them. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I don't know, we have a pandemic or we have, a global crisis and a TV show or a program is inciting violence or giving people wrong information that puts other people in harm. Like stuff like that. Yes. Now, government, it is your interest to protect people who might not know if somebody is objectively, not subjectively, but objectively putting people in harm. That makes sense, right? That's the only time I could sit here and be like, okay, government, I could see you stepping in. If it's putting other people's lives in danger and it's objectively seen, not subjective, objective. But now you want to look into different TV shows, red flag. Don't like it. Now, the Sinclair broadcast group, they're another people that are in charge of distributing the Jimmy Kimmel show. They say Jimmy Kimmel's show won't return until appropriate steps have been taken to uphold the standards expected of a broadcast platform. They also want Jimmy Kimmel to issue a public apology and make a donation to Charlie Kirk's family and Turning Point USA. I don't have a problem with a movie or TV station or whatever having certain standards. That's fine, right? Like if your standard as a station is, hey, we don't want you to, I don't know, be racist, and you say something racist. Yes, I fully expect for that person to come out there and give an apology or whatever, right? That's fine. If that's y'all standard, that's what it is. Here's what I don't like. I don't even know what you want him to apologize for. Because, as I've said before, I don't know what y'all are mad about. Like that's the part what do you want him to apologize for? What in his commentary did he specifically say that you want him to apologize for. And by the way, let's also not forget, Jimmy Kimmel is not a journalist. He's not a reporter. He's not a news anchor. He's a comedian, stand-up TV host, like stand-up comedy host. Like, what is the standard for comedy? Because last time I checked, especially with the right, y'all love comedy. Y'all want comedy not to be censored. Y'all don't want people to cancel folks and stuff. What is this standard? Like, again, if it's a journalist or if it's a reporter, I get it. Hey, you can't say things that are not true. You have to deal in only facts. Totally makes sense. Even if it's a commentator, maybe it gets a little bit more blurred. But to me, I'm thinking like, well, with any comedians, usually the leash is a little bit longer. So what exactly did he say that y'all want him to apologize for? And lastly, make a donation. That sounds like extortion. Make a donation for what? For what? You would have to substantiate what he said specifically that would require financial contribution, because right now, once again, because of the involvement of the government and its influence, it doesn't matter if the government directly said it or not. The government has influenced this company to take action. This feels and looks and smells like extortion. In other words, when the state doesn't like something, you have to pay for it. Literally. That's not American. That's not okay. And once again, just because, still there'll be somebody out there that says, but this was just business. It was just, it's just the media companies. He had low ratings. He wasn't funny. And again, trust me, I don't want to talk about this. I do not. But people like to come into this world that they don't need to be in. Donald Trump has now implied that he may take away licenses for TV networks who are negative towards him. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative one in years or something. When you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. The president, the government is now in their feelings because someone criticized them. What I find interesting about this is the description of this sounds like something from either a third world country or China. Like some country that's like state run. The leader doesn't want nobody to talk about him. And if you do, punishment. I find it interesting how certain people were made to believe that socialism was so scary and so bad and ooh, socialism. But yet they got no problem with communism, with fascism. There's no problem. It's fine. Why? Because my team is winning. It's okay. I will throw out my American values. I will throw out my moral sensibilities because my team is winning. It's cool. My personal rights, why do I need that? Get out of here. My team is winning. Your team should be America. Our team should be America. That's the team. It's not the right. It's not the left. It's not the liberals or the conservative. It should be America. When I think of politics, I don't sit here and think of, let me think of the politics that only serve my side of the aisle or my worldview. I think of what benefits the most people, what helps the most people. Meanwhile, we have, starting from the top, the leader of this country who is sensitive, and because of that sensitivity, is willing to use the force of the government to restrict media. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't even know how long YouTube is gonna last. Let's be honest. We don't know how long YouTube is gonna last. Some people are thinking like, man, get out that legacy media, man, forget that, move on and be independent. Being independent does not mean going to YouTube. Why? Google owns YouTube. You know who Google does? Who owns Google? Billionaires. You know that billionaire, where they be going? To the White House. You don't think at some point, some way, somehow, sooner or later, social media is going to be taken over too? Man, didn't I just see that? Hold on. I just saw something about that, like, that the US is now trying to basically own the algorithm of TikTok. So in other words, when we were afraid of China running the algorithm of TikTok and stealing information, no. The US is just going to do that instead. Remember, they saved TikTok. Nah, it's all a power move. And the reason why I bring that up and why it's problematic that you have the president of the United States commenting on the potential limiting of access for TVs or media, press, whatever, is because it's a direct violation of the First Amendment. And I wanted to read it real quick for people that don't read, because some people just don't. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In other words, the government needs to mind their business. Now, by the way, and just full disclosure, I didn't know this, because at first when I read this, because it's been a while since I've read it like that, I was like, wait a minute, this thing only said Congress. Okay, I know Congress is in the legislative branch, but it's the executive branch that's acting all wild right now. Is that the loophole? Is that how they're able to do all this? Nope, timeout. Nope, I did a little research, just a little research. Thanks to previous rulings of the Supreme Court and multiple court cases, they have extended the interpretation of the Constitution not to be limited just to Congress, but to all of the government, executive, judicial, legislative. All branches of government cannot restrict free speech. So don't let that wording fool you like it did fool me. Now, let's talk about a little pushback, right? Because I know it's all this doom and gloom and it's all bad and all that. I get it. Let's not sugarcoat it. But there's a little something happening, little pushback. Lost creator Damon Lindelof says he will not work for Disney until Jimmy Kimmel is reinstated on his show. Other major talent are also considering similar pledges for Kimmel. I like it. First of all, Damon is he's the one that gave y'all Watchmen. He gave y'all Lost. Like, this man is amazing. So that's potential money you are losing out on if you don't have that in your corner. Now, that's just one guy. That's one creator. However, SAG-AFTRA, yes, the Union for All Actors, is publicly condemning the decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's show. They say democracy thrives when diverse points of view are expressed. The decision to suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. And not only that, but the WGA, the Writers Guild, has also come out in support of Jimmy Kimmel. They say, we stand united in opposition to anyone who uses their power and influence to silence the voices of writers or anyone who speaks in dissent. This is a problem. You cannot have, because while some people might want to isolate this to just Jimmy Kimmel, no. This is a problem that I've had to have conversations with people that don't understand this in terms of how third world countries, dictators, authoritarian countries, you don't understand how they work. When there's a pre-established government or system, The way that you break that up, there are multiple ways to do it. There is a whole playbook, by the way, and there is a documentary on Netflix y'all should definitely be watching that shows you the playbook of a dictator. But one of the things that they have to do is go for the lowest hanging fruit. When they can go for the lowest hanging fruit and take action against that low hanging fruit, it's easy then to now create a precedent that can be applied to everyone else. What does that mean? So I don't know. Let's just say there's an underprivileged class. Maybe there's a class of people that a lot of people don't agree with, don't believe should be in bathrooms or whatever. If you can go and attack that small protected class's rights, if you can take them away from them, guess what? That will give you the power to take it away from anyone else. It's called a precedence. That's why, even if you may agree with them or not, you want to fight for the lowest people, the lowest class, because if you don't fight for the lowest, the highest is never going to be protected. They won't have a shield for very long. So right now, the lowest hanging fruit is comedians, right? I think it was Dave Chappelle, or it was either Dave Chappelle or Jon Stewart. One of them said that comedians are like the canaries into a mine, right? Back in the day, if they needed to see if a mine was like poisonous or bad, they would take a canary, let it fly, and if it flew back out, it was safe. If not, they knew there was poisonous gas in there, and they let that canary die. That's what Jimmy Kimmel is right now. That's what Stephen Colbert is right now. Talk show hosts, maybe everybody doesn't care about them. Maybe some people find them funny. Maybe they don't. Whatever it is, they are the low-hanging fruit. If you can censor comedians, you can censor everybody. Because comedians are usually the ones, like I said, that got the longest leash. So that is the reason why this Jimmy Kimmel thing is more important. Not because we care about Jimmy Kimmel. Listen, Jimmy is fine. Like, not a big deal. I didn't forget that she dressed up in blackface as Karl Malone. I remember the Man Show. Okay. So I'm not dying on no hill for Jimmy Kimmel, the person, but the rights that come along with his ability to have free speech, that is something worth fighting for. And I like this. Would y'all look at this? Tatiana Maslany, aka Miss She-Hulk herself, has urged her fans to cancel their Disney subscriptions after the studio suspended Jimmy Kimmel's show. Oh, y'all do realize She-Hulk is part of Marvel, and Marvel is owned by Disney, and Disney has Disney Plus. I have to give this woman some props. That takes guts. That takes guts. Now, I don't know if She-Hulk got renewed or not. Don't even matter. But the fact that this woman was like, nah, go ahead and cancel the parent company. Go ahead and cancel that. Much respect. You know what? I feel like Thanos. I feel like Thanos. You know, when he was like, I think I might have judged you a little too harshly. Like, I'm like, yo, I got mad respect for her. Listen, that's her job. Her simply saying that could get her fired, could get her recast. Shout out to her. Definitely respect that. And following up with that, Mark Ruffalo, who's also a very vocal activist too. He says Disney stock will go down a lot if ABC ends up fully canceling Jimmy Kimmel's show. He says Disney does not want to be the ones that broke America. Listen, think about it like this. Disney is making this decision to pull Jimmy Kimmel and to suspend him right now because of money. It's because of money, because as we talked about, that whole Nexstar merger or whatever is happening, they want that money. They want more TV stations, but they can't get it without the approval of the FCC. So this is always about the money. But if the people are like pushing back and your stocks go down, that's affecting your other pocket. So which pocket is going to lose more money faster? And whichever loses more money faster, that's probably going to push the company. These companies ain't gonna do nothing if it does not affect their pockets. Okay. And right now, it seems like that is the case. Because just saw this here. Disney has been dealing with the fallout for days, and things are not getting any better. As of September 21st, Disney stock has dropped more than 2%, an estimated $4.4 billion since dismissing Mr. Kimmel. Marvel star, and that's what Mark Ruffalo said about the Disney stock. Yikes! That's a whole lot of bread. That's a 4.4 billion. Oh man, y'all better stop playing with people. Y'all better stop playing with people. Listen, and here's I got 2 more points. Maybe a little positive, maybe not. Disney execs and Jimmy Kimmel are meeting. They were meeting today, I believe, to discuss the future of his show. And the parties were going to discuss whether there was a way to have Jimmy Kimmel's show return. Okay, I like that, right? I like the fact that y'all are at least willing to have a conversation. I like the fact that y'all are trying to find a resolution to all this, because right now, nobody's winning, right? Nobody wins when free speech is infringed upon because of government influence. And nobody wins on Disney where you're losing money because people are actively canceling or they're not watching or whatever. Okay, them boycotts are gonna mess y'all up. Follow up to that meeting. Disney and Jimmy Kimmel are disagreeing on how to bring back his show. Kimmel wants to do his monologue where he clarifies his comments and emphasizes that he never believed the Charlie Kirk's killer was MAGA. He would have also fought back at Fox News, right-wing social media users, and others who believes dishonestly mischaracterized his comments to fan the flames of outrage. Disney reportedly thought that he went too far and didn't help the situation. Now, I can understand. Now, first of all, once again, when you go back and look at his comments, he didn't say, oh, Charlie Kirk's killer was MAGA. He said MAGA was fighting real hard not to basically attribute the shooter as being one of them. He didn't say, I, Jimmy Kimmel, believe that Charlie Kirk's killer was MAGA. He didn't say that. He literally did not say that. But y'all are allowing people to misconstrue his words where they're in black and white. And you're not even, at the very least, you could allow him to clarify his comments. At the very least. At least. And here's the hypocrisy. We're here now. So we're going to just go here. I'm whatever. On Fox News, I don't know if you guys knew about this, but Brian Kilmeade is one of the anchors, I believe, on Fox and Friends, and they were talking about what to do about mentally ill, homeless people, so on and so forth. And Brian Kilmeade went on air, and I'm not going to play the clip, but basically one of the anchors was like, yeah, you know what, man, if we're going to try and give these people resources, and if they can't get these resources, we might just have to lock them up. We might have to institutionalize these people if they're not going to, basically get down with the help that we're trying to help them, right? And Brian Kilmeade goes on to say, yeah, and we should probably do lethal injection, and like put them down. I'm paraphrasing. But basically he was like, yeah, we should just go ahead and kill him. He was referring to a conversation of mentally ill, homeless people. And he went on live air. It's not like this was a conversation where a bunch of people were talking and he was talking about one thing and no. He paused, waited for this man to finish talking, and then he said, oh, yeah, hold on, because I'm not making this up. I don't want nobody to sit here and just take my word for it. Here are his words right here. Jones was talking on Fox and Friends Wednesday about public money spent on trying to help homeless people and suggested that those who didn't accept services offered to them should be jailed. And Kilmeade came in and said, or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them. Just kill them. This is what was said over there. If the FCC stepped in and was like, you know what? That's not okay. I would be like, you know what? You're right. What did I say before? I'm not okay with the government jumping in and trying to censor stuff. However, if you're over here advocating for harming other human beings, that's probably a line that we should absolutely not cross. That's probably where we should be like, no, stop. That's wrong. You need to be fined. You need to issue an apology. You need to do some stuff. And here's the problem I have. We're sitting here talking about how Disney or ABC, they didn't feel as though Jimmy Kimmel, who all he wanted to do was clarify his statements. He just wanted to clarify. Because clearly people were misconstruing it. He wanted to clarify, but they said, nah, you went too far, and they couldn't come to an agreement. They couldn't come to an agreement on that. Meanwhile, the dude on Fox News who's advocating killing mentally ill, homeless people who might be veterans, by the way, he gets to go on the air and apologize. During an appearance on Fox and Friends weekend, Kilmeade said that I wrongly said they should get lethal injection. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I am obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. All I'm saying is, while I personally would have no problem if the network over there would have fired Kilmeade, if the FCC would have fined them because that was careless talk, and that's to say the least. It was disgusting. If you're willing to give that grace, you should absolutely give Jimmy Kimmel some grace as well. Jimmy Kimmel didn't sit here and say, oh man, we should go kill all MAGA people and put them down. He didn't say nothing close to that. He didn't even say the things that y'all are accusing him of saying. But y'all give that guy a pass to even apologize and to keep his job? And this is probably the more disgusting part. And I hate that I had to end on this. They're not, as much as I respect other people's opinions and viewpoints, there are some people I'm just like, it's hard for me to respect what you stand for. I can, as a human being to human being, I don't want nothing wrong to happen to you. I don't want nobody to shoot you, hurt you. I don't want, on a human level, we're fine. Outside of that, I'm not messing with you. And it's a couple people like that. And one of those people is Rafael Cruz, aka Ted Cruz. Okay. Ted Cruz is not the type of person I would ever have a beer with. Ted Cruz is the type of person I still question. Why the hell does Texas keep hiring? Like, why do y'all keep electing him? I don't like everything about him. Okay. Just everything about him. No, thank you. But this man is a broke clock. And it was the one time he actually said something that I was shocked. He said they, the left, Democrats, will use this power and they will use it ruthlessly. And that is dangerous. It might feel good now to threaten Jimmy Kimmel, but when it is used to silence every conservative in America, we will regret it. Oh. 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 Like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I agree with Ted Cruz. I agree. He's right. He's right. But I want you to understand the problem in what he's saying. They will use this power and use it ruthlessly. He's saying that what conservatives, the president, is doing is bad. It's bad. And you don't want someone else eventually, hopefully, if we have another election, to do the same thing to you times 10. You don't want that. That's usually why we have respectability politics. That's usually why, yes, the president technically could do this or that and not be prosecuted, but you don't want to get into that kind of back and forth. It's the reason why, even though a lot of these nuclear powered countries have nukes, we could go bombing everybody, but don't nobody want to get bombed back. So we don't bomb people. We'll do sanctions and we'll do other stuff, but ain't nobody trying to release the bombs. Because if we do that, we're all gone. So yes, Ted Cruz is right. This exercise of the government on media, press, commentary, speech is wrong. Period. I don't care what president's in office. It doesn't matter. The government should not censor speech. And I want to clarify something, because a lot of times I kept hearing people talk about, but I have free speech. I have free speech. Listen, it's fine for you to have free speech, and it's fine for me, another citizen, to say, I don't want to listen to you. It's fine for you to have free speech and for you to go to a college or an institution and they say, you're not allowed here because we don't want you here. You're doing something that is against our values. That's fine. Why? Because institutions, corporations, citizens, we're all kind of like on the same level. A private company can do whatever they want. If Facebook, if TikTok says, we don't like your speech, we don't like it when you talk about ABC, they can kick you off because they're a private company. That's fine. If you go to a job and you say certain things and they fire you because they don't like that speech and how it reflects on the company, that's fine. What's not okay is the government getting involved and censoring your speech. The government cannot say, oh, you're protesting this, we're going to take action against you. That's wrong. That's unconstitutional. That is un-American. If it's people, it's fine. If it's people in business, people in institutions, fine. The second the government gets involved, the second the government opens up their mouth and says, man, you can do this the easy way or the hard way, problem. Anyway, that's everything right now that we know of for the Jimmy Kimmel situation. I'll do my best to keep up with this because, like I said, we are in this territory now, right? Like this is something that unfortunately could spill over. It could be something that comes over to anything, because if you can censor this media, if you can censor that education institute, no one is safe. And then we will be living in the United States of China. Y'all, some people were scared of socialism. Oh gosh, I don't want to help out I don't want to pay for that doctor's school bill, but little communism, sign me up. Like that you sure? You sure? That's not America. It's not what this country was built on. It's not what this country fought for. The forefathers that a lot of y'all like to elevate, they would be appalled. Absolutely appalled. Anyway. Oh, did I lose anybody? I think I lost some people, probably. Anyway, guys, let me know. What do you think about this Jimmy Kimmel situation? Feel free to let me know your thoughts. Hey, use your free speech while you can. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.